All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's installment of DappRadar Market Movers. My name is Pedro, and I'm the senior blockchain analyst at DappRadar. Today, we'll be discussing a topic that I'm sure every one of us has wondered at some point. What makes an NFT project successful? Precisely, why the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs are sold for millions of dollars and other collections don't. And to talk about this interesting topic of NFTs and their successful factors, I want to welcome today's guest, Boris Rio, analyst at DappRadar. How are you doing today, Boris?
Hey, hello, Pedro. Good day. Good to be here.
Nice. Perfect. As always, we'll be recording the session for people to catch up later. And if you miss any of our previous shows, you can get them on our YouTube channel. So, without further ado, let's begin. Unless you've been living under a rock for the last 10 months, you should have heard about the Bored Ape Yacht Club, the fourth most traded collection ever with more than 870 millions in sales, reaching more than 6,100 unique owners, making it one of the best distributed projects across the entire NFT space. But what are the factors that propelled the collection to stardom? If you're familiar with our content, you know that we release at least a couple of times per month a series of reports covering newly launched randomly generated NFT projects. To assess these NFT collections, we go through a set of factors that most of these successful dApps meet. And the first one we are going to talk about is the utility factor. You may be wondering what exactly is utility. And for utility, we understand what added value you will get by owning a certain piece of a collection. These rewards may come in different forms. And talking about the Bored Ape Yacht Club, for instance, we see that the first utility that Bored Ape Yacht Club owners were granted was the airdrop of Bored Ape Kennel Club. All people that own a Bored Ape with a snapshot that was taken on May were available to mint for free, only paying the gas fees, one of the collections on a one-to-one ratio of the newly launched Yuga Labs project, the Bored Ape Kennel Club. So this is one form of utility, giving access to other NFTs of their parent collections. But we see other types of utility. For example, in the project that it's named CyberConks, which I think you might heard about it, the utility comes in the form of yield-bearing tokens. In the CyberConks ecosystem, it is called bananas. So each person that owns a CyberConks, a Genesis CyberConks to be specific, will receive 10 bananas per day. Another example can be found in the Subdocs project, where owners of a Subdoc will receive 10 daily Vault tokens. So in this regard, these are forms that projects are continuously looking forward to reward their owners by being part of their communities. And I want to ask here you, Boris, what's your take on utility, and do you know any other types of utility that projects in the space currently reward?
Yeah, well, utility is very important, and it's also, just to sidestep a little bit, it's also important to classify what kind of utility, because there's a utility that comes in secondary monetary appreciation. As you previously mentioned, the owners of NFT get passive income. But there's also utilities that grant the user various perks, whether it be in real life, in the metaverse, off-chain, or on the internet. For example, a lot of other collections, they promise access to, and actually Bored Apes was one of the first ones who started it and did actually delivered successfully on this promise, is access to VIP events and VIP parties. And if you remember, the one such event took where a bunch of people in New York have met for the Bored Apes Club. They delivered, they organized a fun party, everybody had a good time. And that's very important, that they actually promise and deliver and stuff. And they were one of the first people to do it. But a lot of other projects offer similar access to VIP only parties, events. Some people promise events organized in the metaverse or within if the project is doing a particular game or an interactive experience. They will promise specific airdrops to the NFT holders. For example, a project I covered, which did a lot with utility, was Clonex and the partnership with Takashi
Yeah.
Murakami from the Artifact crew. And they did wonderful stuff. Like, not only do you get a very bespoke, beautiful collection, on top of that, you have your clone, you get the different OBJ formats, and you can use them in the metaverse or in Second Life or in VR or what have you. Like, you actually get the physical um, like the files that constitute that particular clone. You get forging event where you can create the clothes that resemble the clone that you bought. You can customize them in very different ways, and depending on what the project offers and where they go, like, the more creative people become with utility and the more unique they become, the more successful a project is going to be. As again, Bored Apes prove that if you do something deliverable and something interesting, people will come to it.
Yeah, correct. And probably this can bring me to the second factor that it's quite interesting about the Bored Apes. And it is the team behind the Bored Apes. The Yuga Labs were probably unknown to this space in April 2021. And now have they become like not only relevant players in the Web3, but also like in the whole metaverse narrative. We've seen they already partnered with Adidas, like the Bored Ape has already partnered with Adidas, which is big for the project and the metaverse narrative overall. And the team behind is, as you said, is about meeting their expectations. The Bored Apes, I remember they launched a pretty mysterious roadmap where nothing was really revealed. But when the details started to come along, you see that they airdropped the Bored Ape kennels. And then on September, we finally see the mutants, the next wave of attention that the Bored Apes received, and the new member of this Bored Ape family. So another important aspect that is relevant doing research about when trying to invest in an NFT project is the team. Public teams are good, of course, but it's also there are cases where pseudonyms, like it's the case of Yuga Labs, pseudonyms are made are the people behind the project, and we have seen this with Trivers, for example, where Loopify is the creator behind the Trivers, and it has become a relatively successful project, and we have seen other examples. Um, but I mean, you need to find teams that are constantly overachieving and overperforming the expectations, are meeting the expectations. And another important factor to consider is how the teams react to the challenges they face. We saw, for example, the Mechaverse launch, which was one of the most hyped NFT collections ever. The price before the reveal went up even to 10 ETH, and unfortunately, the collection came crashing down. But why this collection came crashing down? I mean, the team did not necessarily was transparent at the time of launching. There were rumors about the team, about was it really a fair distribution. So all these kind of factors are very important when researching a collection. In your experience, Boris, do you want to add anything else to the team factor?
Yeah. As you said, I completely agree. It's always better to have, and pardon the internet parlance, but a fully doxed team in that regard. That you know who the people are. It's always nice to have an actual human being that you can contact and you know who they are and what they have done. But bar that, it's always nice to have somebody, because a team and the community are inextricably connected to each other, and the team through their actions amasses goodwill and social capital, which is before you start your project is basically your building stones of what's going to drive your project going forward. And you amass that social capital in the first step is by actually doxing yourself. And then, as you said, the team should overperform in terms of their goals and their expectation, not setting their goals, but achieving their goals and actually putting meeting milestones and putting deliverables out there. For example, one thing that, as you mentioned, what happened recently is interesting. The connection between the team and the performance of the collections at Pudgy Penguins, for example, recently, where the collection is doing well. It's a very successful collection, but in part of that, there was a mistrust that was built with the founder of the collection, and he got collectively voted out. And that is I would say, a very successful way in terms of how a project that manages itself in the future after established, after having sold everything and continues forward, is that there's still momentum and it still continually builds trust. And there are people who are capable, who are competent, that take over the helm and drive it forward.
Yeah, exactly. Another example is with all the latest gossip around Beanie, this NFT persona. He was close to the Wolf game, an NFT-based game, and the Pixel Ball team, which is very famous for well, the Pixel Ball DAO, the Punks comics, etc. So they also instantly, basically, when the rumors were out that Beanie was doing wrongful actions, they instantly go out and say he's not longer partnering with us. So these are the type of actions that we want to see teams taking. And I remember also covering Stoner Cats, and it's funny because when you see, yeah, right, this cartoon animated cartoon cats, uh, which were smoking weed all the time, and you see that team, and it was stacked. I mean, you see Ashton Kutcher, you see Mila Kunis, you see Chris Rock, and you see Vitalik Buterin himself. So I mean, you see that team and you think, oh my God, this is going to be the next big hit. But when you start to complementing the overall factor, you analyze the project from a holistic perception. You start to realize there are flaws. So the team is not all. And getting back to Bored Apes, and now that we are talking about celebrities, another aspect that is very important that had become relevant in the NFT space and has proved to be vital and crucial for the performance of any NFT project is the involvement of celebrities in the space, right? And this is one of the factors and the big hits of the Bored Apes. The celebrities were really interested in becoming part of the Bored Apes. We see famous celebrities from any kind. I think one of the first ones to be involved and become publicly known as Bored Ape owners were DJs, Chainsmokers, and Steve Aoki. Well, Steve Aoki is one of the most NFT. He has become one of the most important NFT influencers in this space also. But he became an early adopter of the Bored Apes, and I think this helped the Bored Apes start to becoming relevant, start to becoming talked about, becoming demanded. Basically, people want to be part of an exclusive club. Right now, the price is already 80 ETH, and famous celebrities like NFL player Des Bryant or NBA player Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Jimmy Fallon, Post Malone, or Shaquille O'Neal are owners of Bored Ape Yacht Club. So I mean, imagine being a part of a club where you can meet this kind of people. You mentioned the NFT NYC convention that happened in November, I think, last year, when people in the streets were really wearing their Bored Ape Yacht Club sweatshirts proudly. Why? Because they know that you can find on the next corner Stephen Curry wearing his Bored Ape Yacht Club sweatshirt as well. So celebrities are also an important part of the successful roadmap of a project. And along with celebrities comes another very important factor, communities. And community again, Board Ape Yacht Club, check the box. Analyzing that Twitter and Discord follower growth and the sentiment can give you an idea of how strong a community is for a given project. And in the case of the Board Apes, well, you have almost, well, more than half a million followers on Twitter and more than 100,000 Discord members, right? And just to put quickly in perspective, in September, sorry, when we covered the mutant ape launch, we measured Twitter growth in about 132,000 and Discord members around 35,000. So in about 3 or 4 months, even without any further action, the Bored Apes continue to increase its social reach. And this is another very important aspect in when evaluating and when assessing an NFT project. And if to know if an NFT project is going to succeed, you need to look at how bonded and how strong is its community. Uh, any take on the community factor, any relevant project you want to probably compare? Yeah, why not? You want to compare the Bored Apes community with any other project you are familiar with?
Yeah, I want to take pedal back to what you mentioned about celebrities, and
Yeah,
I think a specific
yeah,
point which I want to emphasize is that just the presence of celebrities does not for a good NFT project make, because as you said, Stoner Cats had probably one of the most famous people out there. Is you got Vitalik, you got Mila Kunis, you got Ashton Kutcher, you got a bunch of other
yeah,
celebrities there, and you think there, Moon is the jumping off point, and we're going to a different galaxy altogether. But that's not what happened, and it's important to know that not only do you have to have the foundation for something strong, and as we mentioned previously, like the team has to create something, and has to create community goodwill. Then the community will be built around it, and then it will naturally, through social osmosis, is going to uh, express itself into uh, the cultural zeitgeist, and celebrities are going to come pouring in. You can, of course, for example, a collection I covered and I'm particularly also fond of, as Clonex, and they're, first of all, they are celebrities, small celebrities in and of itself. I mean, the Artifact team have been making cosmetics for like 3D games, starting from CS:GO, Dota, Rainbow Six Siege. I mean, those are very,
yeah,
very
yeah,
big name titles out there. And then working with Takashi Murakami, who's been a big name collaborator with all sorts of fashion projects, and is a name for itself. But then not only does he have a name, he actually has the um, skills and the gravitas to actually pull something like that off. It's not just like getting some rando who has a name, but it's somebody who actually can perform and as well as deliver what at least what you're bringing them into. And I think that's also important, is to actually have the people who are passionately, genuinely interested in the project and can help it grow, which I think why bringing in Takashi Murakami was important. Or another thing that's happening right now, as we're talking Fanta Bear, the project, it's also is going on by storm. It's already reached 82 million in just 2 weeks of
finalized, right?
yeah,
It's
aggregate.
yeah, yeah,
And just because of celebrity of Jay Chu, but Jay Chu is not just like some guy. He's a Renaissance man in his own right. He's a actor, he's a director, he is the king of Mandopop, and he's a very successful businessman as it happens. So yeah,
yeah. Your typical Asian celebrity.
but that's important. When you have successful people be part of the project, it's a leverage that will then help the project grow as well.
Yeah, it's a leverage, but you definitely need to know how to take advantage of it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's my point, that you need to know how to take advantage. Just bringing in famous people just not going to do much.
Yeah, the artifact case is actually quite interesting. The utility presented by this team is also very nice because, well, they started releasing NFTs in early 2021, I think. One of the first one. Well, as you mentioned, it's a wearable brand, and one of the first collections that they launched was a collaboration with Jeff Hall, which is a very well-known person in the sneakers world. He has worked with Nike and has designed a lot of famous Jordan and Nike Air Force designs. So um, they have also like exploited this artist or celebrities factor. But on the other hand, you got these toner cats or any other project that may be shielded by NFT influencers, which is also, I think, worth highlighting to our audience. Like, not because a celebrity is backing up a project, it means that it will translate into success. Actually, there is a risk because it's a fact. There is a risk that NFT influencers have been paid or just to shield a project, and the project is basically um, not going to do good intentions. So it's also a very important factor, but at the same time, it's one that should be monitored closely and should be done with a lot of research behind. So we went back to celebrities, and what about communities? Do you want to add something to the communities?
Uh, yeah, the community as mentioned previously, inextricably related to the team, and the community itself should. And this is becoming a very do mode occurrence. Is that a lot of projects are after a certain period of time, usually it's a year after the project has established itself and minted everything, it moves into a DAO. And because of that, it's very important to have a healthy, growing community that will keep the project running. Because once the project becomes autonomous and the original team are going to take a step back, it's the community that will keep driving it forward. So it's if the idea is that this is something that we're not just doing a quick buck and we want something to be alive for the next 5 years, decade, or however long it will last, it's important to keep your community engaged. Um, with that regard, I think what
Yep.
what Bored Apes is doing great is that there is a like maybe it started off as a meme, maybe it's whatnot, but they actually doing the legwork in having very dedicated fans. I mean, it's just paying attention to the New York event. The people are crazy in a good sense. Like you see genuine creative enthusiasm. Where I remember that one guy who had and shout out if he ever listens to this. But he all dressed up like he made a monkey costume and he dressed up with all blue, like completely
A blue ape.
his monkey,
Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
blue ape. And that was great. I mean, this is the community engagement that you're looking for. And that's people are genuinely engaged with the project, and then that can develop it forward. And
Yeah, definitely.
and then because the community is going to grow, it's going to have a roll-on effect, and it's going to start attracting more people. It's like to use also modern parlance, once you hit a critical mass, the project becomes lindy, and the longer it lives on, the higher probability chance, bar some major catastrophe, but that will keep on living and will keep on growing.
Yeah. Actually, well, yeah, as you said, that community of Bored Apes is really proud of being part of this project, right? They wear the clothes on the streets in real life, and they basically yell at you, "Look at me, I'm part of the Bored Apes," and you not. So yeah, the community is important, and a small subgroup of NFTs that are going also to be very community driven are going to be games. And one interesting example we saw also in September, a collection that it's called Loot for Adventurers, where basically the developer, which is anonymous by the way, not the group, but it's an anonymous developer, basically launch a collection which were basically just NFTs. If you're familiar with Dungeons and Dragons, it's basically just 7 words stacked where your imagination goes beyond. So you start imagining what are I going to do with these words? So the developer only released the NFTs, the original set of NFTs, and it's up to the community to keep building on this project. So a lot of derivatives were built around this NFT Genesis collection, and the community is still engaged in the Discord very actively, trying to replicate the more realistic impression of a Dungeon and Dragon-esque a blockchain game based on this loot connection. So again, community is a big factor. But of course, there are other factors. So far, we have checked the utility, right? Which in the Bored Ape case is pretty clear with the mutants and the Bored Ape kennels. The community factor, which, as you said, Boris, they are crazy in the good way. The team, the Yuga Labs, which has become a very important brand in the Web3 ecosystem, and celebrities, which the Bored Apes are full. But there are other factors. That timing when a project launch, for instance, the art itself, of course, although it remains a very subjective factor, and one that is important, the distribution of a project, how well distributed a project really is. And there is already a discussion about the cultural impact a certain collection will generate in the NFT space when you look back in 2030 and you look back at the Bored Apes. What's the real cultural impact that it has in our society, in a more digital society that we are going to be living in 10 years from now? So these are other factors also to consider. The timing going into the Bored Ape case in specific, they launched in April when the NFT market was coming from, let's say, a revival caused by first the launch of the hash masks. Then we had in February the NBA Top Shot euphoria, and so on. So the timing of the project launch is also very relevant. And we also mentioned the art itself. Although it remains a very subjective factor, you have already mentioned a couple of times Murakami's involvement in the Clone X. And it's undeniable that the curated pieces by Murakami stand out. Another example can be seen in the Doodles, which is another project that we covered in the new Dapp's report, and that we consider at that time that was checking all the boxes, and the floor price of the collection is already above 11 ETH. So worth keeping an eye on this new Dapp's report. And the artist behind the project is Born Toast, and Born Toast hand drew 62 doodles design. So these doodles have become one of the most valuable NFTs in the entire space. So although these are not, let's say, grid set in stone factors that are going to be translated into successful NFT projects, they are also something to keep an eye on. What's your take on these factors? Do you
Uh,
want to add anything else?
yeah. As I say, timing goes for everything, absolutely for everything. But I'd say, especially when you launch your collection, I think timing could not have been better for Bored Apes when the market was a lot more hotter, a lot more bullish. So the a rising wave moves all ships, as they say. But I think also a very important part is, and what you mentioned previously in passing, is derivative. The Bored Apes were, for the time when they were released, they were very, very different from everything else that was on the market at the time. Sure, avatar collections were there, but the art itself, the nature, like the way the art was created, it was something completely different. And because it was something completely different, it immediately caught the eyes of people, and there was something very interesting. Nowadays, we see that because they grew into this giant, and when you said what Bored Apes is going to become, culturally, that after they've been out for half a year, and celebrities are part of this. People are trying to secure rights for them to be in different movies. Animators are like, I've seen people trying to do little animation episodes about them. and they are just going to be growing and become more of a cultural phenomenon. I mean, just by virtue that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, they've spawned so many, and I
Yeah.
don't mean this in a disparaging way, but I mean they spawned so many copycats. There are so many ape-related projects today that this is pretty much as a staple that you made it. You've done something so great that people want to copy and emulate you.
I mean,
Uh,
they made all their way even to famous auction houses like Christie and Sotheby's, right? So,
yeah,
and
absolutely. So as I said, it all remains to be seen what will become of them. But yeah, I would reinstate is that timing is very important, and setting yourself apart from everybody else is also very, very important.
I really like the part of, let's say, the originality factor, which, of course, copycats, we are seeing a lot of copycats projects launched every day. So, yeah, it's a lot of other external factors, I would say. So, okay, I would like to stop and see if anyone from the audience has any question or comment regarding this topic. Feel free to fire. Remember that no question is dumb. So yeah, we're here to answer your questions. Don't be shy.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, it seems that ain't no questions around this topic. Oh, I see a hand raised by Arlo. Yeah.
all right, let's invite him to speak. Invite sent. Be here. Hello, Arlo.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for the event.
Good to
Hey,
have you.
man, good to have you back.
Thank you. Uh, I want to ask this question. Is it true to say that the role of a community in success of an NFT project is more important than the skill of a digital artist? And the second question, what advice to a digital artist who is not known but does good works? What can he do to be seen and succeed? Thank you.
I apologize. Could you repeat the first part of the question? The connection wasn't exactly great. There are some parts that were left out.
Yes, of course. I asked, is it true to say that the role of a community in success of an NFT project is more important than the skill of a digital artist? And the
Ooh.
second question, what advice to a digital artist who is not known but does good works? What can he do to be seen and succeed? Thanks.
Uh, should I take this one? Because I'll be happy to answer it.
Yeah. Answer and yeah. Let's see.
All right. So the first question I'd say depends what your goal is and from which angle do you want to approach it. I'd say the community is absolutely the if your goal is to create an actual project that is going to be there for a long time, yes, the community is absolutely invaluable. And the community is the driving force. I mean, this goes pretty much for everything, whether we go for video games like, for example, just off the cuff, like Team Fortress 2. It's only there because the community loves it so much, and there's still such a big demand, whether it be people who enjoy the art of something or someone. The community is absolutely important, and having a good relationship and cultivating, as I previously mentioned, the social capital with the community is absolutely important. So, but to also relate what is more important, the community or the art, it's a kind of a chicken or the egg argument, because the good art, like, if you build it, they will come, and so you have to have something that will bring the people to you in the first part. You have to have something that will attract the people in the first place, and once you attract the people, once you can create that social capital and you reach a certain um, critical mass, then that initial building of a community is gonna pay dividends and the community is going to start growing organically by itself. To answer your second part is what can an artist do? Unfortunately, I'm not I do dabble a little bit in art myself, but not very much into it.
Yeah.
What can an artist do though is this may be a little rent seeking, but it's also good to establish yourself with other famous artists. Like if you're in social media, as to be in art spaces, talk with other successful artists, collaborate with them on something, and then your name inextricably gets mentioned somewhere. If the art is good, then people are going to start following you as well. So it's the idea of getting seen. And how do you get seen is, well, piggyback off someone else's quotes, be part of some event where your art is in demand, or work commercially as well. As some of the friends that I know who do art, they did it something for conventions or music albums or whatnot. So that's my personal advice. Would you approach it differently, Pedro?
Yeah, well, going to the first question first, I mean, I totally agree with you. It's chicken or egg, but I think that the art, of course, attracts people, and then it's up to the team to keep supporting its community with enhanced utilities, overachieving the project, overperforming, meeting the roadmap, etc. So I'm not. There is no clear answer whether some factor is more relevant than the other. It's a combination of all of them that makes a project successful. And as far of the NFT artists, uh, I would recommend. Well, I mean, my take is we live in an open era, so we have a lot of tools, and if you have the skills, there are a lot of tools where you can design, and it's very easy to mint a piece. So if you're already a designer, feel free to mint, probably in a not expensive blockchain like Ethereum, but there are other options where you can mint an NFT like Tezos or Solana. So feel free to play around. As Boris say, when you have your NFTs minted, go out to Twitter, expose your art to the public. Maybe I reckon that somebody is going to like your art. And once somebody likes your art, you're going to get more and more known. So, I mean, feel free to play around the tools and mint something, and yeah, give it a try. Oh,
Thank you. Thank you.
nice one. I saw another hand raised that I cannot see it now.
Yeah. Don't be shy. If you want to ask questions, come right up. We'll be happy to have you. Ah, there we go. Asuba Nival. There, come right up. Howdy.
Sorry, we cannot hear you.
Hello.
I think we've got some audio problems.
Hello, now you can hear
Yeah.
me, please?
Yeah,
Yeah. Wonderful.
good.
Yeah.
No, sorry, I had my headphones. Well, I had a question because, I'm building a project right now, and I think in releasing into the Ethereum network, but I would like to scale it in other chains, and I would like to know your approach. How does the Ethereum maximalist feels about a project that borns on Ethereum network and then you scale it in other layer 2 solutions or L1 solutions? That's no big deal.
I mean, the Ethereum maximalists are not going to be happy about it. They want to garner all the market. However, if you're a not biased person, you will need to embrace the solutions that our community is building. Right now, you have a lot of options like layer 2 solutions like Arbitrum or Immutable X, right? Or you have side chains like Polygon or Ronin. So Of course, there's a lot of options. Some people are not going to like it, that's for sure. But I mean, that's there's no problem that the maximalist of Ethereum doesn't like it. What you should really look forward to is that the community actually likes it, and community doesn't like to pay expensive fees. So scaling solutions are definitely embraced, are definitely welcome, and I think there are good options, and something to really consider when developing an NFT project.
Yeah, in that regard, just to add, as you mentioned, Pedro, as well, it depends what's more important to you. If you're having the biggest audience possible, then yeah, the Ethereum maximalist may be right. But if the idea is that you're trying to create some utility, you should see about that people are actually able to use it at an affordable fee. So it's for you to decide what's more important to you.
Yeah, thank you, Boris.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Pedro, please.
no. Sorry, I just wanted to say like also it depends a lot of what your project is about, because if it's an NFT collection about collectibles, maybe it doesn't hurt to be on Ethereum. Why? Because you only pay the gas fees when you mint or when you transact, right? However, the scenario is very different if you're creating an NFT for a game, when the transactions are more frequent and you will be punished with the gas fees. So it also depends on what you're currently building.
Well, yeah, I was there on Clubhouse when Bored Ape Yacht Club was created, and but in that time, people didn't notice what the possibilities were with that particular project. And yeah, I'm creating a collectible on the Ethereum network, but an scalable project with a full universe with play to earn and metaverse features on the future. We will start to
Nice.
build from there.
Nice. I mean, then Immutable X for is an option to explore. Um, I mean, this scalability, you don't lose the security that Ethereum provides. You don't lose, let's say, the brand awareness that Ethereum entails, and you will be scaling your product efficiently using another technology like a layer 2 solution like Immutable.
Thank you very much, Pedro and Boris. Super talk. Thank you very much.
No,
Likewise,
thank you for
thank you.
listening. By the way, what's the name of your project to follow it on the future,
Well, of
if it
course.
can be known?
No, of course. I didn't want it to set it because I know that's not the place to shield my stuff. But well, the project name is Hoodie Kids. It's a project for the Cuban community. I'm an ambassador for the Cuban community that is a little bit problematic per se because for all the blocking things that we have here in the country, but we are growing pretty fast. And what we think with this project is like something for the community that is created in the community, and something big is what we want to create, not just a collectible. We thinking in selling hoodies, real hoodies, t-shirts, and also create a play to earn game with a slightly different approach that the ones that are in the market, and also metaverse proposals for the future.
Wow, sounds really attractive. I mean, wish you all the best, and yeah, hope to see you one day listed in DappRadar.
Thank you very much, Pedro.
Cool. All right. So, if anyone else has any other question, shoot it. Right. So, I think we are close, coming to a
Oh,
close.
wait, I have one question here. Brick
Oh
router.
yeah, let's go.
Yep. Invite sent. Gears are rolling. Howdy.
Hello, how are you?
Good day. Doing good. Thank you.
Amen.
That's good. So I'm sorry, I just caught the back end of this, but I was just wondering if you guys were considering doing a native staking option for holders, and if we were, could you guys maybe set some parameters for native staking and maybe give us options? Because I think if the community just voted on that, like we don't really know that much about tokenomics or whatever, but it'd probably be better for you guys to guide us through that. I was just wondering.
In yeah, it's not precisely the forum, but I mean, it depends a lot of also like the model of your project and the tokenomics behind. But I mean, it's not an easy question to answer at the palm of my hand, so it caught me a little bit off guard, to be fair. But what we can do is that, yeah, if you want, you can share some more details, and if I can, I will help you.
All right, thank you.
No worries. Good, good. Anybody else? Yeah, I think that was it. Um, Perfect. So I first want to thank Boris for his valuable insights. And of course, a big thanks to you people for joining and being active within our community. And remember that each week at the same time, Market Movers discussing different crypto topics and the AMA sessions where Ian talks down with relevant projects in the industry in his weekly events. And also don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter on social media channels, Twitter, Discord, and YouTube. And again, thank you all. Thank you, Boris. Any closing from your part?
Well, thank you to have me. Always great to be here, and regular listener, and I'm always happy to perform that because the information shared here, and always interesting to hear people coming in with new information and to comment on how everything develops. So
Yeah,
thank you
happy
very much
to
for
have
having me.
you. Yeah, happy to have you here as well. And well, yeah, thank you. Enjoy your evening and have an amazing weekend. And that's all. Thank
All right,
you. Bye bye.
bye.